away from him in the game. That's another good champion like that. He was just able to take over and really excel at what Looper does best.
That is be a menace and be in the right place at the right time. But we are into champion select, ladies and gentlemen. We do have Janna and Rek'Sai being taken off the board, one for each team, and pretty standard so far, and we'll see whether these bans get mixed up at all, because Gamtee now with the first pick opportunity, they can take away maybe one of those sort of most wanted junglers.
Yeah, I think they look at a Jarvan here if they get the first pick, because he's just been so devastating. We saw Ro use him extremely well in that game.
Yeah.
And I think the dive is very underrated. It keeps you safe by not peeling, but by creating havoc in a backline.
Yeah, Lysandra and Na going to be taken off the board here as well, so bit of a top lane focus. Lysandra a little bit more of a flex pick here, especially nowadays. Let me deciding on what to do next. And we may not see too much of a shakeup.
Yeah, maybe. It might mean that Dade wants to play an assassin if they are taking the Lysandra off the board. Of course, Lysandra and Lulu are probably the two mid lane counters to these assassin pickups. So maybe Dade wants to go towards something like that. Actually banning the Jarvan away.
I find that really strange.
Maybe they're now trying to force a Lee Sin ban, because otherwise it is the top 3 junglers off the board and we're really forced into no man's land once again.
Yeah, and Ro and Danger both with pretty shallow champion pools when it comes to that jungle. Of course, not necessarily showing too much prowess on the second tier, as we were mentioning earlier on.
Ro does have that Vi pocket pick that he's been happy to pick up a couple of times. It didn't work out, but they can definitely go for it. And it looks like they will have the chance right here to pick up the Lee Sin with the first pick if they decide to.
Yeah, if they want to pick that one up. Does leave a few power picks open here, of course. I mean, the Azir going to be up, the Xeraths of the world, of course. Thresh is available as well if they want to go for that one. Of course, didn't see anything of it, but Kassadin has slipped through as well, and that was worth a mention. We'll see who is going to be playing that one, as Rumble also slipping through the bans.
Yeah, I really like this, because picking up Kassadin means that Dade will probably try and default onto an assassin to take that one out. If Looper gets his AP top laner there's no reason he can't go onto a Zed here and try and really pick on this Kassadin in the mid game.
Yeah, and do you think a Yasuo pick could also come through? I just get excited when I see that one coming out from Dade.
Yeah, Yasuo is definitely one of Dade's better champions. Is in a worse spot as a champion overall at the moment than Zed, so probably makes a little bit more sense for Zed to go through. But Yasuo gets continual better as the game goes on, has a very, very low starting point, where Zed kind of does peak and then fall off a little bit once people pick up those Zhonya's Hourglasses and QSS.
Yeah, Danger hovering over this Lee Sin, definitely a good lock in. They are going to take that one away. Sync Dream happy with the Annie. Of course, did manage to get some fantastic flanks throughout that late game, but unable to roam as effectively as he did in the previous series, and we'll see whether he does manage to do that this time. Of course, on the blue side, so going to be a little bit of a different experience. The Nami is going to be hovered over here again, and Candy and Love City definitely looking comfortable in that duo.
Yeah, and I like the Nami pickup here in conjunction with the Rumble, because it just allows him to keep some form of people on top of that equalizer. With the tidal wave, can follow it across and really does synergize well together. Nothing like a Jarvan Rumble convo, but is good in its own respect. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. And it will be the Vi again for Ro, who will maybe try and pull off some very early dragons one more time.
We'll see whether he does go for it. And it does leave Dade open to pick up one of those high damage assassins. And once Vi hits level 6, I mean, you've just got Assault and Battery and then anyone's dead. And picking Vi against Kassadin especially is fantastic. You'll follow him wherever he goes.
Yeah, certainly will. And maybe even with the composition they've gone now, there is a chance for him to pick up the Yasuo. There are some knockups in the team comp, so maybe looking to see what the last picks will be to see whether that is something they can take in. And it looks like it's actually going to be a top lane Kassadin, so defaulting towards an Azir again.
Yeah, potentially. They were hovering over the Xerath, but still feeling like this Azir is the pickup they want. Actually Fizz, so not even worried about it. Not going to go for either of them. Just says, nope, I think that there's going to be a potential assassin here in the mid lane. Baiting Dade out here, but Dade has the opportunity to go for Azir now as well.
Yeah, and that was always the danger with that. Azir just does so well against assassins, can get him out of their face with that Emperor's Divide and then puts down a lot of persistent damage. Yeah. Also very maneuverable, can move around the map at extreme speed. So good pick up there from Dade, getting his champion finally. We'll also be able to knock people into the equalizer, we believe, as we actually just jump out of champion select for a second. But overall, you would have to say that two very, very different team comps running at each other. Double Assassin on the side of Gamtee and a much more brawly teamfight comp one more time coming out of M3.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen Let Me on anything other than these big tanks. Has played a lot of that Gnar and that Maokai, of course, and is fantastic in the front line, but we'll see how he transitions into this more of a sneak in and out playstyle of the Kassadin and see whether he can really have the impact. I mean, we saw Kohler play that one from the top lane to fantastic effect coming from Style and Royal Club, so we'll see whether Let Me can do it as well.
Yeah, and definitely. And, you know, Kassadin has kind of that pseudo-tank build that he can go with the roller into the Zhonya's, and he does pick up a lot of health and a lot of, I guess, armor. And with the magic shield that comes out, it does make him a beefy frontliner for the first portion of the game.
Yep.
So you can definitely jump in there, slow people up, get the Zhonya's off, jump around, be that menace. And if they can get two people on top of Candy with the Fizz and with the Kassadin, he will be deleted quite quickly in these team fights. So I like the lineup coming out of Gamtee, a good change-up.
Yeah, no, it's really fun, and especially because they have both of those super slippery champions in Kassadin and Fizz, so they can be darting around these fights. But does that leave the rest of the team a little bit open to attack here? And do you think that Tail's kind of going to be left on his own here on this server?
Yeah, and that's a danger because Tail is such short range that once again, they're trying to create peel by not actually staying on top of Tail, but by diving in on the carries, and as long as they're moving forward as a unit, they'll be doing quite well. The problem is, as soon as a team fight turns around and they have to start kiting backwards, it's just so much potential for Looper to land a great equalizer, Ro to get in there and really mix it up in the middle of their team. So there is a danger for that.
Yeah, and Ro, of course, on this Vi, if they do manage to get ahead on the side of M3, they are going to be able to lock down one of these tricky targets and just take them out so that you don't even need to worry about this. And then there's no tank to be that front line.
Yeah, and that's always a danger with running a tankless lineup. If anything, if you get ahead, you steamroll over people because you just have superior damage in every single lane. Even the support player can start taking people out, as we saw in the last game. But if it does go the other way and you get really, really tanky and this Vi just becomes impossible to deal with, it is going to be a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I think a lot of it is on SyncDream to really get this early game rolling because you pair the Annie stun up with a Fizz. I mean, that's so much damage on the really squishy Azira there in that mid lane, and even if he comes up into that top side as well, I mean, especially once that Rift Walk's available, I mean, Looper could be in a lot of trouble as well. So SyncDream probably want to be roaming around this map, and we'll see whether that's sort of afforded by doing these lane swaps yet again. And whether that's going to mean that we're just going to have a repeat with this massive Tristana even by the mid-game.
Yeah, I'll be surprised this time if they did lane swap just because Kassadin has such a good lane against Rubble. It's not a lane swap that you want to opt. You don't want to opt into a lane swap when you have a favorable matchup like that. I think that also if we look at it, we've seen that Sivir can just continually push in Tristanas over and over again. So once again, a couple of favorable matchups that I don't necessarily think that they will try and go into the lane swap scenario.
Yeah, and we'll see whether SyncDream is therefore going to leave Tail on his own in a 1v2.
Yeah, potentially. And maybe they can just shove and use Tail's back times a little bit more effectively and then get the roam going from Annie in that little bit of a window they create.
Yeah, we'll see whether they can do that as danger is going to be on this Lee Sin, but let's get onto the Rift. And here it is with Gamtee taking on M3 for Game 2. Of course, M3 with a startling lead early on in the previous matchup, and Gamtee now trying to fight back in this one. We'll see whether they can make it happen. Of course, their lineup looking terrifying if they're moving, but if they don't get anywhere in this early stage, things could be a little bit of a worry.
Yeah, and I guess the same can be said for M3's lineup. They only really have Vi that will be that tank. They have a lot better zone control and that late game insurance in policy that comes through with that Tristana. So they do have, I guess, a slightly better late game just because of that AD carry position. But worrying signs for both teams if they do let a team go early. Very hard to crawl your way back in on this patch.
Yeah, and the other thing that I'd like to mention as well is this is Jahu's first week that he's had so far is on this Fizz. He's going to be wandering up to Dade here as well, just maneuvering around, going to use that Playful Trickster to get out. But this is the first time that we've seen him, and he's been on Azir and Xerath, not necessarily Assassin champions, as we have a little bit of a scuffle coming through here, just trying to derail me from my point just a little bit. But we haven't, this is the first time that we've seen him on one of these Assassins that he's supposed to be so comfortable with, as he's been playing it a lot, of course, very high in that solo queue here in China. Haven't seen him too much in competitive play. Played for MD a little while back in the LSPL, but not too much to write home about, and we'll see whether he can make a name for himself on this Fizz.
Yeah, it certainly has been, I guess, a little bit more renowned on those Assassin champions coming through. We've heard about his Z a lot, but it will be interesting to see how he performs in this one, particularly in what could be a little bit of a counter matchup. Looks like jungle is starting on opposite sides of the jungle. Vi electing to start at a major buff, while Lee Sin is electing to take away those Krogs.
Yeah, and it is actually going to be Vi managing to actually do this in vision of Gamtee, which is a little bit unfortunate here. He's going to smite that one away and get a little bit of health back, but they know exactly where Ro is at the start of this game.
Yeah, but Vi flies around the jungle early with that W passive, just does so much damage to neutral monsters. Maybe even looking for a little bit of a sneaky pathing here to get a level 2 and then go into the top lane. We'll have to keep an eye on her to see where she goes, because she has gone up to those Krogs.
Doing yeah, like you said, a different pathing, but meanwhile in the bottom lane, a lot of damage already being traded here at the level 1 stage. Tail, half health, still holding on to that potion, but M3 utilizing the advantage, but both teams hitting level 2 at the same time. Tidecaller's blessings taken here by Candy for a lot of extra damage, but oh, there's the flash into the stun here as well. Danger lands the Sonic Wave waits after the flash and then lands the resonating strike, but manages to get a flash and a heal.
Yeah, and an exhaust out as well. That is just so much to only the flash ignite, as we see Ro maybe just going back to base now. Didn't get anything funny there. So a really good level 2 gank coming through from Lee Sin. And the reason that was able to happen, because Vi started her jungle on top of a ward.
Yeah, exactly. So we knew that there was going to be no counter gang potential, of course, able to come down there early on, and just knew that as well that wasn't going to get his buff stolen away.
Yeah, exactly right. And we see in the top lane actually a little bit of a shove in coming from Looper in this early game. As soon as Cassidy gets maybe 3 points in that queue, we'll be able to trade extremely well from range. Then just maxes the E and just shoves relentlessly.
Yep, just doesn't care about that one at all. As Dade very low on mana here, and Jahu able to use that flask to keep himself topped up.
Yeah, so Dade electing to go with Doran's ring start into the Fizz, so will be, I guess, struggling in mana unless he can last it extremely well. He's actually falling quite behind in CS here. 4 down, but he does have a much bigger wave.
Yeah, he's going to be able to just farm this one out underneath that turret. And Looper has had his lane reset here just a little bit, and Ro finally able to take that blue buff down, as Danger's finished off his as well, and we'll see what Danger decides to do. Looks like he's putting a little bit of attention here on the top side.
Yeah, looked for a ward hop over the back of Baron to maybe flank around behind Looper, get a gank in. Of course, it is extremely hard to gank for Cassidy early game because just doesn't have that gap closer to be able to get in there and mix it up. It does have a slow with the E, but not really many other tools.
As we have here in the bottom lane, Sync Dream without that flash now, of course, used that to get that W onto Candy, but waiting with that stun available. Boomerang going to land for 1 tick onto Candy. And Tail coming back around, has popped that potion. Now has a little bit of a life lead here.
Yeah, and this is the thing about Love CD in this lane. Just provides so much extra sustain that if something does go wrong, Nami is much more forgiving, lets the lane equalize. You have to think if that happened in reverse, Sivir would be in so much trouble right now because there would be no sustain coming out of Annie.
And look at Lemmy actually going really aggressive onto Looper as he is going to get silenced.
Looper returning a fair amount of damage there as he overheats and gets the Flame Splitter out for all that extra damage. But you can see that Cassidy just starts to trade very favorably in this matchup.
Yeah, Scrap Shield not quite enough. And do you have to max Rumble a little bit differently in this matchup as well? Do you have to put extra points into that Scrap Shield in order to keep yourself alive?
Yeah, in most matchups where I feel Rumble falls behind, I chuck a second point into Scrap Shield just because of that reason. Also helps with a little bit of overheating, but it will be a gank 2v2 in the top lane.
Yeah, the counter gank coming in here. Letme is a little bit more healthy as Danger's going to come back around, but they do not want to take this one. Really respecting M3's 2v2.
Yeah, they actually saw, oh wow, a lot of damage in the bottom lane.
Whoa, that Ebb and Flow not quite healing back enough here as Tidecaller's Blessings used just to make sure Tail doesn't really want to fight this one out. But nice traded damage, and Love City getting low on that mana as well. Yeah,
Danger made a little bit of a mistake in the top lane. He actually revealed himself a little early. Probably could have baited in both duos, and in that situation, it would have been in Cassidy's favor at this point of the game. Now that level 6 being reached, it would be interesting to see it go head-to-head one more time. As soon as you dodge out Vi's Vault Breaker in a pre-6 gank, just has so little damage compared to what a Lee Sin can put together.
Yeah, well, exactly right. It's a nice shield here in the bottom side of the map, but What you're saying is perfectly true. I mean, there's no more CC available as well coming out of row.
Yeah, exactly right. And very limited for Looper, whereas there would have been the AoE CC out of Let Me in the top lane. So maybe a little bit of a slip up here. And Dade looking to get aggressive, even though he knew the jungler was on the bottom side of the map. That ward spotted him out, now trying to really bully Xiaohu around. They're very equal in CS, but Dade looks to be trying to get on the front foot now.
Yeah, and of course, I think Xiaohu just wanting to get to that level 6 point has managed to hit it now, and we'll see whether he does decide to pull the trigger. Dade with the defensive heal in his back pocket. And Gamtee, this is pretty standard, coming around for the roam.
Yeah, but the heal won't really... Wow, it's gone in.
Yeah, Chum the Waters is going to land. Emperor's Divides here as well, but Playful Tricks is going to come over the top. Sonic Wave's going to land, but Xiaohu picks up the kill. Lupus teleported in behind, but 3 people might be a few too many as Syncdream's trying to get the stun back up. And Looper going to get ignited, but he's going to be okay as Danger tanks way too much of that turret.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't. That might even stop the push here because they've rotated more people in. And if they're able to get maybe a little bit of a bubble, even the equalizer can come through. Looks like they're just going to reset, send Looper back to the top lane, but Dade getting over-aggressive, not respecting the damage that can come out. And if you take heal into a Fizz, it's not really going to do much with those grievous wounds coming out of the W passive.
Yeah, well, exactly. Not to mention the fact that he has Ignite anyway, so he didn't even really need that one. Plus, everyone builds Morellonomicon. Of course, heal not that great in the mid lane in general.
So we see that it was able to go over to Xiaohu in the first, I guess, little skirmish we see of the game. Picks first blood up for himself, and assist did go over to Danger. And now the lane's reset. Looper is starting to fall a little bit behind on CS as the levels go into Kassadin. There's very few lanes that Kassadin wins, so when he is in a winning lane, he just gets ahead and is such a menace in the mid game.
Not to mention, he's just really, really happy because he doesn't have that stage where he's winning normally, and he's probably just really psyched about where he is on the map at this stage. And Let Me doing some work here on this champion.
Yeah, so it looks like he is doing well. Wow, Candy going aggressive onto Tail.
Yeah, Candy thinks that the only way to use Rocket Jump is aggressively. And Tail is going to have to get out of that lane. Is 9 CS in the lead, though. Both of these bottom lane members with even builds. And Ro actually going to find a kill into Let Me in the top lane.
Yeah, so able to get up there, use his first Assault and Battery, gank for a bit of a turret dive. A lot of damage did go down onto Ro. This will mean the Dragon could go over to Gamtee, but very nicely done in the end to be able to get a kill up in that top lane.
Yeah, Danger going to take down the Scuttle Crab, of course, getting the main objective here in the river as Syncdream and Danger going to start this one out together. No vision is available here on the side of M3, and Xiaohu's now here to add his damage. Does have that Sheen, so a fair bit to offer here from this Fizz. And as Tail comes around, he's just going to witness the death of the Dragon with one auto attack and just say, yeah, I helped, guys.
Yeah, and it looks like afterwards they're looking to rotate onto the blue buff and put a lot of pressure on Dade. Azir is a mana-intensive champion, so if you're able to steal that one away, it will really do dividends for his team to shut it down in lane.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that
they've got Looper coming down. They're wanting to fight this one, M3.
Yeah, they're trying to. Oh, that is going to be the smite going from Danger. Dade not going to be picking up that blue buff. And so Dragon and a blue steal now for Gamtee, answering back for that kill in the top lane, but the gold is incredibly even.
Yeah, it certainly is extremely close. Resources going in the way of Gamtee, however. So they will be happy with how this early game is going. Looper had to go for a little bit of a stroll and didn't really get much for it, so shuffling his way back top lane.
Yeah, is still behind as well because he did take that little bit of extra time, so not able to utilize having what was a slight advantage after that kill, and is now behind in experience as well.
Yeah, we'll be able to just equalize after this wave, so he's absolutely fine for, yeah, as we keep harping on, it's a bad lane for Rumble, but he is doing well to stay within reach.
Yeah, he is, and he's now definitely pulled back. Has that Haunting Guise, so only needs those Sorcerer Shoes to really be Dragon Fight ready. As we've mentioned so often, that Equalizer only really needing a bit of Magic Pen to make it work. And Xiaohu just heading around, may spot out the pink ward that's very deep on the side of M3. And the blue buff still available here for Gamtee.
Yeah, and it looks like once again they're going to look to get Looper some help in this top lane, clearing out a ward and putting some more pressure on Let Me. With the added cooldown to that Rift Walk, it means that if he ever uses it offensively or can't, wow.
Yeah, Candy actually buster-shotting Tail here and then one of the first defensive rocket jumps that I've seen. So discovering that that's a use for that ability is very, very handy, especially early on in this game.
Candy is one of the funniest Tristana players to watch play because he uses his ultimate so liberally just to get some harass down. Saw straight away that he elected into a trade that he was probably going to use, so just uses his ultimate to disengage and get away from it.
Yeah, and do a fair bit of poke damage as well in a lane where that damage is going to stick.
Yeah, so only Duran's Blade for that lifesteal, as you were mentioning. And once again, a pretty quiet early mid-game. This is similar to what happened until the triple kill went down for M3. So nothing new here for these teams, just both happy to farm up and wait for the other to make the first mistake. Yeah,
do you think it's waiting for Xiaohu to pull the trigger here on this Fizz? I mean, we saw him pick up his first kill earlier on, but do you think that it needs to be the Fizz show this game?
Yeah, it certainly would help if he's able to get things going. I think that he can roam and affect the map because, as we can see, he's shoving out very easily. Both waves are pushing in the favor of M3, so he can get around and really try and help his team out here. So now M3 need to make sure that they're warding smartly, have nice deep vision of where this Fizz is going to be, and are really trying to make sure that they're not beneficial, especially as he moves towards that Lich Bane.
Yeah, precisely. Now, almost has that Aether Wisp completed as well, going towards that Lich Bane. Still needs about 1,500 gold to finish that one off. And what do you think about finishing Lich Bane first here without too much AP in your back pocket?
Yeah, I really don't like that build at the moment. I prefer to sit on your Sheen and maybe even go for a Zhonya's Hourglass. It means another full rotation of spells comes out. A lot of that flat AP, as you mentioned, and it does augment much better with Lich Bane. However, we still see Fizz go for that movement speed out of the Aether Wisp, find a lot of use out of it. So it's definitely not a bad pickup. I think it's just suboptimal in long continued skirmish. Much better burst damage as well. Candy going in one more time.
Yeah, Tail with a nice spell shield, but the trade going definitely in favor of Candy here as he sidesteps that boomerang, and Tidecaller's Blessing being used to full effect here on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, and Rose down there as well, looking to get a gank in with that ultimate, as we see Sync Dream actually coming out of the brush, looking to see if he can get aggressive at all, but Tail's going to have to go back to base.
Yeah, he most certainly is. Is able to stay even when he's been sent back home quite a few times here on this Sivir, and is really allowing Sync Dream to move around this map, playing safely, not dying, and still managing to pick up that farm with that boomerang from range.
Yeah, and Sync Dream has just been trying to consolidate vision around the dragon area. I guess the surprise for me is the fact that that Warrior Enchant was picked up by Danger. It was before a Sightstone was, so not electing to go for any of that early vision that is so key at this point. Maybe just trying to get as much combat stats available for this next dragon up in a minute and a half.
Yeah, it's going to be very soon. We'll see whether M3 are going to try and contest that one, of course. Gamtee picking up the first one with relative ease. But we saw last time that that sort of isn't what happens with the second dragon. That's the one that everyone wants.
Yeah, and Love CD committing the cardinal sin of a support, stacking in a brush with his jungler with his sweeper available on top of a ward.
Oh dear, hate to see it. But Tail able to push out this wave yet again. Candy managing to get a fair bit of damage onto that turret while he was back in base, but able to even out this gold once more. Has been back a couple of extra times on top of Candy, but still managing to stay up in that farm as Danger is down here as well, trying to add his presence to this gank, and hasn't actually been seen, I don't think.
Yeah, there are a lot of deep wards that might have seen him path towards that. I didn't see exactly what way he took. However, knowing someone is there and then realizing that they've stayed in the same spot for 30 plus seconds are two completely different things. And we've already seen last game that Danger is willing to be extremely patient with these ganks, looking for a pick 10 seconds before Dragon so they can rotate into another easy objective.
Yeah, exactly. And Danger still here as well. And these Chinese junglers very happy just to sit.
Bit of a fight in the top lane. Both top laners getting extremely low. No ultimates used for Looper, but is able to bully Let Me back to that turret.
And it's very smart to hold on to that ultimate as well, considering the fact that that dragon is live. We're at about 15.5 minutes, and with the teleports available, you need that equalizer to have Rumble be at all effective in these dragon fights.
Yeah, you certainly do. So not wanting to look for the solo kill, instead decides to go back, get some HP, and then run back top lane, even before he's completely healed. He's looking to shove that wave out and walk down towards Dragon before anyone starts it up.
Yeah, and actually has completed that Negatron Cloak as well, so going to have a lot of sustainability against this double AP lineup coming from GT, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult to kill here as well, is this this Rumble.
Yeah, certainly is. And wow, Danger's still in that bottom lane.
Oh my goodness.
He has been down there for a minute and a half, 2 minutes at this point, and in the meanwhile, Vi's picked up a handy CS advantage and been able to get a couple of pink wards around that dragon area. So using it to great effect to, I guess, affect the map a little bit better. Has now been spotted out, has to back away from mid lane.
Yeah, SyncDream speeding around this map with those mobility boots as Xiaohu's trying to clear out this wave that Dade shoved at him. But there's just the fish straight into the face. The Emperor's Divide to come through from Dade, but he is going to fall down. It's a decent equalizer to come in. That finishes off Xiaohu. They're trading mid laners, but Letme's here as well. Ruo gets stunned up here by SyncDream, but he's pretty squishy. Danger in for the save, and Looper now has to turn around. A nice kill trade here for Gamtee.
Yeah, recognizing they had the extra member and they're not done. Letme still aggressing on top of Looper. Now decides to back away. So good use of that Annie roam that we've harped on about in this early game. Getting in there, able to affect it and pick up an extra kill on the side of Gamtee.
Yeah, and that Urchin Strike used throwing the fish out in the middle of the dash meant that there was nothing Dade could do. Couldn't even react by pressing his R button quickly enough.
Yeah, so we actually, as we actually see the replay coming in, so yeah, there it is. The launch in and just the Tibbers going down on top of Dade as well just means that he takes way too much damage. A nice flash kick coming through from Danger will save his life. And he ultimately lives through this. In fact, he even takes Roy out at the very end. So really nice play to come through. Gets himself some extra health from that smite as he's coming through as well. So yeah, really nice play from the jungle of Gamtee.
Yeah, and if Gamtee look good, it's when Danger is on one of these comfort champions. But M3 might have an opportunity to pick up a dragon here as Danger was on that top side of the map. So evening out these dragons, and it's going to mean this game is almost completely even. I mean, 500 gold, you're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, definitely not. And it's very interesting because they elected to do that because they knew the ultimates were down on Gamtee's side. So they're valuing the fish Tibbers higher than they are the equalizer at this point in the game. And if you've put more value on, I guess, a couple of abilities over the equalizer, that just shows how much they are scared of the pick potential coming out of those two champions.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And Xiaohu and SyncDream, we were talking about this. We were saying that SyncDream has to roam around this map to get things going, and Gamtee are really utilizing it so far.
Yeah, and he has now been able to finish up that Lichbane. Danger in the top lane, actually looking for a little bit of a dive. Equalizer is back up. It's very hard to dive a Rumble under turret.
Yeah, this is very scary. The Force Pulse is there. SyncDream has the stun, though, and Danger, he's not scared. As Safeguard just going to be used to get onto Letme and get him to safety, and Ruo just a little bit too late.
Yeah, so able to pick up the kill from the dive. They do go a little bit low, but Ruo needs to get out of there.
Trying to bait it out with that ward there as Xiaohu going to witness Dade clearing out that ward. You're going to notice that pink ward there as well, but Dade probably able to defend that one.
So they're going to trade a top for a bottom turret. Probably, that's a pretty equal trade at this time. You expect both to go down reasonably early. Vi heading into the top lane, maybe even looking to defend it, but no, both turrets will go down. You think that might even play into Candy's favor just because he's got a little bit more 2v1 time with this Sivir in the lane and being able to, I guess, put some distance now with that CS in between them.
Yeah, but we were talking about this lead. It was actually a lead for M3, but Gamtee have now managed to turn that one around just a little bit, picking up a fair bit more gold for themselves, so able to stretch this one out. And I'm still waiting for Xiaohu to roam around this map and really start affecting other lanes. He's managed to kill Dade a couple of times, but not really able to translate that into kills on Candy, which is really important.
Yeah, and still hopping in offensively, really looking to take it to Dade in this lane. We saw that Dade, when he did try and go aggressive, paid for it with his life. And now a little bit of a lane swap coming through. Looper into the bottom lane.
Yeah, and Tail actually going to do a bit of a ring around the rosy here as he does manage to spell shield out that one. But Love CD's here as well. Tail's going down solo, and Dade easily picks up that kill on a silver platter.
Yeah, really nice play and communication coming out of the M3 members, recognizing that when that turret went down, they was just so far overextended for Sivir. So easy kill pick up there. Throw in the fact that the flash was still on cooldown and there was nothing he could do. That gives a nice respite for Dade, who's actually elected to go for some Merc treads for some extra MR. Really respecting the double AP comp coming out here.
Most definitely. And the Abyssal Scepter to be picked up from Letme. And I like that in this comp that basically has 3 AP threats that have to be relatively close range.
Yeah, and you know, being mirrored by Looper on the other side for the exact same reason. He wants to be in there overheating and brawling, so going to be getting that magic resist shred down on everyone, and Dade going to be able to use that to great effect.
Yeah, and when I talk about relatively low range, I mean melee range, of course. I mean, they don't have to be sharing pixels, but they have to be pretty damn close.
So we see actually some pink wards being cleared away. Baron is up, but won't be an objective for at least probably another 10 minutes with the compositions that are coming through. Of course. Ooh, that is a brave man, Love CD, walking into a brush blind when there is a potential double assassin around there.
Yeah, and there's some swirling stun material from Sync Dream here as well, so able to put some pressure down. Let me gonna head back into this lane because he wants to farm.
Yeah, and Looper one more time down in this bottom lane, looking to go head-to-head with Tail, actually soloing him out again.
Yeah, he's gonna blow that ultimate, and he is silenced here for now. Oh, the flash followed up, but there's the equalizer. Beautifully placed.
Really nice play out of Looper there. Actually flashes back into range. Could have dropped the equalizer, but knew the flash out would come through and uses a movement speed slow. Wow, Dade getting away from Xiaohu this time around.
Yep, managing to survive the Chum the Waters.
So yeah, that was just really good Rumble play, understanding of exactly how much damage he had and how he needed to execute that kill. So well played there by Looper. He's picked up his Abyssal. Will be probably moving towards the Zhonya's Hourglass as the next item. He'll be relatively tanky with all the shields he can put out.
Oh, he certainly will be, and doing so much damage with... This is almost the most flat Magic Pen you can get at this stage of the game. It's just ridiculous. So that equalizer going to be doing massive work. So Xiaohu's going to take a fair bit of poke damage from Dade.
Dade going aggressive.
Oh, there's the Assault and Battery onto Sync Dream, and this guy's pretty used to dying, but still doesn't like it.
Yeah, he just flanked from a weird angle there, especially because the playful tricks that had already been used. Wasn't going to be able to get anyone in there with Xiaohu, and they're actually looking to capitalize into a mid lane second tier turret, so good push coming out from M3.
Yeah, they managed to get it. Take a lot of boomerang damage for their trouble, but M3 going to be able to get out because the Sun turret's there.
Yeah, good defensive Sun turret covering the retreat. That's why Azir is so good in these siege competitions. Just give you a second layer to retreat to. Looks like Gamtee are going to try and push back in their favor, but with Dade, they're going to be able to clear out all these minion waves. Probably not going to be able to get it in their favor.
Yeah, and let me steal ahead us. Wow, Danger so deep on this one. Tail just going to take Ruo for it, but no, he's going to flash his way to safety. And I don't know how Danger managed to survive in amongst 3 members.
Yeah, really good flash kick one more time coming through. Nicely played by Danger. And now they need to be able to recall and get back within 10 seconds. This puts Dragon firmly into Gamtee's hands because I don't know if they can get back down that map in about 5 seconds before it respawns.
Yeah, Xiaohu actually... Oh, the Tibbets from Sync Dream. Candy is going to flash out of the way of the Chum the Waters. And they're not going to be able to secure the definite Dragon here.
Yeah, and Looper teleporting directly in front of a Kassadin who has a channel stopping Q.
Oh dear. Maybe patch notes need to be read a little bit more closely here.
Yeah, so of course doesn't have that silence anymore, but still stops those channels, so was able to interrupt that one. It means that he has to walk down, and this might even give a second tier turret over to Gamtee. So they're able to pick up a bottom turret instead of the Dragon. They give that over to M3, but Kassadin's still in the top lane trying to get some work done.
Yep, doesn't do too much to this tower, and I think the Gamtee may have misplayed there a little bit. They had an opportunity to go for that Dragon, decided not to do anything about it. Just picking up that outer turret, I mean, it's a good idea, and second Dragon, not all that important, but they can't just drop these objectives for free like this because we saw what happened. They got forced into bad decisions in the last game with that 5th Dragon being available.
Yeah, they certainly did, but turrets give you a goal that you can translate into raw stats at this point. The first Dragon's important because of those raw stats, so maybe just not liking where they were item threshold-wise and just valuing that flat gold that they get from the turret over any of the other additional stats from the Dragon.
And you have to think as well, now that Dade has picked up that Zhonya's Hourglass, going to be a lot more happy in this mid lane. Not going to be getting caught by these fish too much.
And I like the boots 2 mix-up that Dade provides pretty often, to be honest. He used to do it a lot on his Twisted Fate as well. Just bypass going for the normal Magic Pen penetration boots for a little bit of extra tenacity coming through. Just respecting what the other team comp has and recognizing that he's there to output persistent damage, not necessarily burst damage. So he can wait until he picks up the next item, Void Staff. That will come through, and he'll still be able to do all of that damage, but keep himself a little bit safer.
Yeah, Xiao actually going to come in for the sneaky steal. The attack command coming down, but Dada just going to cop a fish. Xiaohu's going to get out with a blue buff.
Yeah, so really nicely done. Once again, the more blues you can deny away from this Azir, the better off you'll be throughout this mid game, because he's just such a mana-intensive champion, needs to be able to get those Sand Soldiers out and be able to repetitively queue throughout team fights. So Xiaohu continuing to frustrate Dada in this mid lane.
Yeah, most definitely. Is falling behind a little bit on the CS front, though, down by about 25.
Lupa electing to freeze the lane, actually. Not willing to push it back, just last hitting. Cannon is there, so will eventually, I guess, push in that favor, but just trying to make sure it does as slowly as possible, maybe stacking up the wave.
Yeah, and Candy actually doing a lot of damage to Let Me up here as well. Actually forced to use that flash in the top side. Which is very interesting. Of course, Let Me does have a lot of kill potential on that Kassadin. And now that he has an extra needlessly large rod, has a lot of opportunity to get some work done, but very scary when you've got Candy on this Tristana able to stand toe-to-toe with the Kassadin.
Yeah, and danger on Xiaohu on a little bit of a spy mission here. Both sneaking over that wall. Now they're joined by Sync Dream, who would have been pinged out, so would have to know that there is something going on there.
Yeah, and we'll see whether anything is going to come from this slight camp, but Gamtee have been slowly falling behind in this game. M3 managing to find the leads that they need, and Gamtee, I think, just need to try and consolidate and work out exactly what they want to be doing this game, what kind of fights they want to be setting up, and we can see maybe they just want to be getting picks.
Yeah, I think that they're looking for the picks, and they're also waiting for the Zhonya's Hourglass to come out for Kassadin. He's gone for the Abyssal Scepter, so that means that he's a little bit more tanky to the magic dealers. Will, of course, still be bursted down by Candy's Tristana, who has an additional blood BF sword, nearly a bloodthirster.
Yeah.
So they just need to respect that damage a little bit in this mid game. So as soon as they've got both the Zhonya's Hourglasses for the mage assassins, we'll probably look to fight and just launch on top of that Tristana, wipe her off the map.
Yeah, and they have to before she has the opportunity to use that rocket jump to get to safety as well. And they have to contend with Ro on this this Vi as well, who's going to be assault and battering into their backline. And I think that when they lose Tail as well, they lose a lot of their persistent burst damage because, I mean, not their persistent burst damage, it doesn't make any sense, but their persistent damage. And they've just got Let Me and Xiao who need to wait for their cooldowns to be available if anything's going to happen here. And without that AD carry, I mean, they do their little rotation and then nothing.
Yeah, but it's a little bit like that, but if they're able to get either Dade or Candy, I feel that they do a lot of work. And so I don't think it's all bad news coming through. I actually think that if they are able to do that, they do put themselves in a good position.
Yeah, but pause is now over, ladies and gentlemen. Gamtee going to give up on their little gank brush.
Well, they've been spotted by a pink ward. They need to be careful here. It looks like they're going to be closed in upon.
Yeah, Ro actually making his way around the side, but Sync Dream does manage to come in and get the stun. The teleport coming in from behind here as well. The Chum the Waters to come down. Loop is dead before anything happens. Ro trying to re-engage, but not going to. Just going to Vault Breaker his way to safety as Tibbers wanders around the lane looking adorable.
Yeah, so Lupa going way too early there. Had an opportunity to just drop the equalizer and then kind of wait patiently till he could the rest of the team catches up. Instead, decides to engage. Double assassins come through and blow him up.
Yeah, as Tibbers just going to scout out this brush while Sync Dream finishes off this ward and loses out on the bear gold for Candy. That's 50 Gs. Pretty good.
And we see that after that pick, they just go straight back to standard lanes. Maybe Xiaohu looking to get aggressive here. No, he'll just pick up even more CS for himself. So he's at a nice spot at the moment for Fizz. Maybe looking for the Void Staff coming out next. There is a lot of magic resist on the side of Master3. But with those cooldown reduction boots, is able to get through multiple rotations of his spells.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that Xiaohu this time not actually opting to go for that Morellonomicon, which is what we've been seeing a lot on these Fizzes. Just skipping that item altogether. And not going to have sort of that 40% cooldown reduction, maybe still relying a little bit on the blue buffs to be handed over. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if he got there eventually. I just think that he had a good chunk of gold that he was able to go back and pick up that Zhonya's Hourglass. So I think that he will get there because 40% cooldown reduction is just so key on Fizz. It makes him really difficult to deal with, honestly, in team fights. But just not prioritizing that yet. And now because of all the magic resist coming out, he really needs a void stuff.
Yeah, he needs to be doing relevant damage. Tail trying to find as much farm across this map. Has been doing well on that front. Is SyncDream going to discover this pink ward as well?
Yeah, questionable build actually coming out of Tail here. He has gone for a Last Whisper instead of a Bloodthirster. Normally very good. There are 2 Zhonyas on the opposition team, but I still think that they're not really the targets he's going to be looking to hit. Probably will have to deal with the Vi a little bit more, and a Bloodthirster just gives you much better dueling potential.
Not to mention the fact that you don't get too much armor from that Zhonya's Hourglass. But Candy does have that Bloodthirster, and of course, a couple of Zhonyas on the other team, and little to nothing of anything else.
Yeah, so it looks like once again, both teams looking to fight around this Dragon area. There is actually a level 16 Rumble, so maybe Rumble's last noticeable power spike, but ooh, SyncDream whiffing the Tibbers.
Yeah, and Scrying all going to be used just to discover what's going on in that brush, but with Tibbers down, SyncDream, you could imagine, not going to be able to do the fancy plays.
Yeah, and also burnt the Flash as well, so that's even more key because it can't get that. Ooh, they're looking for a pick onto Looper as he joins.
Yep, and Danger actually is going to have to safeguard his way out of that one. Roe going to miss the Vault Breaker, and SyncDream taking a lot of damage. Boomerang onto Roe here as well, so he starts off with low health, but Jiahu, he might be collapsed upon. He's going to use that Playful Trickster and turn it around onto Candy. They've caught him out, uses it on his Hourglass, but Candy's not dead. Almost gets pushed to safety, but it's not going to happen. 1-for-1 so far as Candy falls down. SyncDream going to fall, and there's the equalizer in a fantastic position to secure that one. Wow, Danger going so far, and Ruo actually gets caught out of position. Loveseed going to fall down as well. It's the Tail show at this stage as Dade's going to get almost deleted as the Zhonyas comes through, but you have to think, is that the Penta? It is for Tail on this Sivir. What a god.
Yeah, Tail going absolutely nuts in that team fight, and once again, Candy jumping into a team composition and getting blown up before anything happens. This will mean the Dragons picked up not much else in objective-wise, but Sivir's gone from being slightly annoying to a huge threat.
The Tail just went from 0-2-0 to 5-2-0.
Yeah, and let's look how it happens. So once again, Candy jumps over the wall trying to maybe avoid Let Me, but just follows him across. And meanwhile, Tail just retreating, doing consistent damage around the back, has already been able to pick up a kill. And from here, just goes absolutely nuts in a close AoE fight. No AD carry is better than Sivir because of all the magic threats. There is no armor picked up at this point in the game and able to pick up a pentakill.
Yeah, and just flashing around the Sand Soldiers as well. Just really beautiful play coming through from Tail, and he has increased his relevance to no end now in this game.
Yeah, is a full 1,000 gold ahead, so that's pretty much the BF sword difference that's coming through between Dade and Candy at this... Tail and Candy at this point in the game. And we see, once again, they're not done. They're looking for the Tristana in the top lane.
Yeah, and there the fish does land onto Candy here. The Buster Shot to come through, but Let Me, he's on top of him as well. And this is the double assassin power from Gamtee.
Yeah, they're a terrifying roam squad at the moment. They're just able to use all those gap closers to get on top of the AD carry and wipe him out. At this point, M3 have to group because they can't do anything else. And they've even started up the Baron because Dade is questionably in the bottom lane.
This is ridiculous. They've got almost a quarter down, and Roe wants to come in and try and start this one off, but he's in no place. Oh, that equalizer trying to get some damage down, but that's a free Baron on the Hunt's being popped here as well as Let Me tries to turn back around. Decent Force Pulse to get some slow onto Looper, but they're just going to back through and head back to base and buy some items. But Gamtee have just turned this game entirely on its head.
Yeah, so one pick into a clear objective. Fantastic shot calling, recognizing that Dade was out of position. And that's pretty inexcusable to not be grouped up against a pick composition. They didn't have the wards to be able to see exactly what was going on. And even though it looked like Candy was onto what they were trying to do, there's just way too much chase potential that comes out of a Fizz Kassadin.
Yeah, he uses that Buster Shot, gets Fizz out of there, but then all of a sudden you've got a Kassadin in your face. And there's just not a whole lot you can do. And now Tail is one full item ahead. Does have that entire Last Whisper over Candy.
Yeah, I guess the only saving grace is the range that will come through. And Jiahu now being collapsed in on.
Yeah, might be in a bit of trouble, but he's Fizz. He's not often in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, so able just Playful Trickster away in the mid lane. It also looked like Candy, they were trying to pick him off one more time. So he's wisely decided to group up with his team.
Yeah, thank goodness. Of course, having a Tristana with your team at this stage of the game is a good idea. Level 15 now, so that Draw a Bead doing a lot of work, getting him some more range. And Let Me going to split push in this top lane. They're doing a decent sort of attempted 2-2-1 situation, turning now into a 4-0-1. Is Xiaohu just going to be the only one split pushing here on the bottom side of the map? And this inner turret in the bottom lane and top lane now under fire as Looper's down here, and Tail just makes quick work of that one.
Yeah, they're actually teleporting in on top of Looper.
Yeah, Looper's getting aggressed on here. Nice on his Hourglass going to be used, but all of these members do have that one, but it's not going to be enough for Looper, and he's going to fall down. Nice juggling of that turret.
Yeah, so in the end, they're able to pick up a turret, most of a second turret, and a kill, and now they're not done. They're in the middle lane, so they're absolutely playing rings around M3 with this Baron buff.
Yeah, this Baron buff being used to great effect as Dade's just going to get destroyed. Turns golden just to talk about how pretty he is, but that outplay was amazing. The Emperor's Divide to come through to turn it all around, and Dade, what a player.
Dade is so good mechanically, and that was just a great example of how he has the potential to outplay even two terrific players. Well done. They still lose a mid lane turret, so things are still going bad for M3, but we have to take a look at that one more time. Dade turns gold, gets behind them both, shoves them into the turret, then uses that E to get the shield off as well, picks himself up a kill.
Just beautiful play, and I'd written him off. I had, but Dade showing once again just how strong he can be, and this is here looking very comfortable for him as he just finishes off that Rabadon's death cap as well on top of the Zhonya's and Athene's.
Yeah, and with all the magic damage on the map, you'd think that maybe avoid stuff, but no, he's going for just raw damage at this point in the game. He has absolutely no magic penetration, but he doesn't care. Just wants to put down as much damage, maybe looking to take Tail out in the next fight.
Yeah, we'll see whether he does manage to do that. Spectre's Cowl has even been built up by Tail here, so he's got a bit of magic resist himself. So that Void Stuff you'd think would have to be a pretty high priority for Dade, as you were just mentioning. Randuin's Omen almost finished by Ro here, as it's the Warden's Mail for Danger here as well.
Ooh,
and On the Hunt has been popped. Oh, Love City is going to turn around and use that tidal wave. Danger getting caught out here just a little bit. Dade doing a lot of damage, but Looper gets taken out on the backside. There's a nice Emperor's Divide, but everyone's able just to jump over it. The Chum the Waters comes in. Dade doing a fair bit of damage, and he's deceptively tanky here as well, as he took quite a few auto attacks with that exhaust running onto Tail.
Looper not able to get close enough to the wall to jump over with the flash, and didn't drop the equalizer either. Chasing a Rumble into a jungle is very risky, but Gamtee able to pull it off. Still have the remnants of... No, I think that Baron buff has expired because the creeps aren't buffed up, so they're able to push into the base and pick up the first bottom inhibitor.
Yeah, and they've taken out the two solo laners here from M3, so this is short work, just cramming themselves into the base and taking that bottom inhibitor, most importantly, because that Baron is going to be coming up relatively soon. And with that inhibitor down, so much pressure on that bottom side of the map. Dragon now up in 5 seconds. Things couldn't be looking better for Gamtee at this stage.
Yeah, it looks like Master3 actually want to push in and fight for it. However, they do have the Dragon advantage, I believe, at this stage. No, it's actually 2-2. So this next Dragon, very key coming in. It's the movement speed one.
Yeah, and Let Me. Tail's actually doing a lot of damage here. It's going to be a 50-50 smite. It's actually going to be taken by Ro here. Very unfortunate for Danger. Assault and Battery not going to be popped because, of course, not available just yet, and they just give away a dragon.
Yeah, so Ro able to just walk in and smite that one away. Not really much to talk about there, just casually.
Not good. Just going bad for the old Gamtee on that one.
But they still have a 6,000 gold advantage and a 6-item Sivir at 38 minutes into the game.
Yeah, really benefiting from that pentakill around the dragon. That was just beautiful to watch, and Tail is so relevant in this game at this point. And
is 3,000 gold ahead of Candy.
That, oh my goodness. Just for reference, is that like a full Banshee's Veil, basically? Yep. Okay, cool. There it is. And Candy actually hasn't been back in quite some time. Heading back to base now to try and pick up another item. Might go for that Banshee's Veil now as well. Maybe not looking to pick up more damage yet because he's getting focused down. Seems like something... No,
he's going to Last Whisper.
Yeah, it's not something Candy would do. He wants to be aggressive all the time.
Yeah, he's jumping into people with that rocket jump.
Not sold on that particular tactic, are you?
No, I'm a little bit confused by it, but it looks like they're starting to group up. Dade's still in the bottom lane. That is, of course, being shoved out, which is a nice move because 50 seconds until Baron, and you would think that Gamtee are going to look to dance around that one until super minions are crashing into the base. Danger looking for a little bit of a flank. They've pinged him out on the minimap, though, so him and SyncDream, they're definitely wise to their tactics at this point in the game.
Yeah, nice scrying orb to come through as well to spot Danger out there sitting on top of his pink ward. They're going to know that that vision's there as well.
And once again, I am not sold on them fighting in the jungle. I think they're much better pushing out the wave, retreating into the river, and trying to get an open fight where they can jump onto the back line. If they get Rumble ultimate and a very good tidal wave coming across from LoveCD, that is a lot of upfront damage that they might not be able to deal with.
Yeah, but what Gamtee have been doing really, really well in this series is picking out a single member from M3 and then fighting the 5v4 straight afterwards. And often it has been Looper, so if they can catch him in transition somewhere, then that might be what they're going for. But setting up for this gank brush here, SyncDream's personal favorite move on anyone ever, but they're going to start off this Baron straight away.
Yeah, because of how deep the minions are into the base already, and there is no clear vision for the Master3 lineup to approach. This one's going to go down, won't even be contested.
Yep, no opportunity to come through, of course, so much damage. Let me straight in here as well. LoveCD taking so much damage from that false pulse. That playful trickster over the tidal wave, and Zhao, who just eliminates LoveCD. Meanwhile, in the backline, Danger does get caught up by that Assault and Battery, and there's Chum the Waters onto Dade. He does use a really nice on his Hourglass as well as Looper to take that one down, but look at Dade just get shredded. Row as well getting taken down. That is a clean ace for Gamtee, and they're going to rush through the base.
Yeah, and that's the danger of using your top laner who doesn't have good wave push to push the minions back. Just wasn't able to get there in time. They'll be able to take out both of the Nexus turrets, and a really different game plan coming out of Gamtee with the double assassins, but it pays off.
Yeah, and Xiaohu looking so at home on this Fizz as well. We were talking about his assassin play, definitely coming out in this one, and schooling Dade, of course, with the help of his team early on, really helped them bolster themselves towards that mid game. But everything has to be said about Tail. That pentakill around Dragon was incredible.
Yeah, his team definitely set him up for it. Going double AP just meant that they were able to, the other team had to build so much MR, and with Sivir in these close-range team fights, with all the AoE damage she did, really able to pick up a pretty impressive pentakill in the end.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Of course, just sitting in the backline doing consistent damage, everyone else just drawing the pressure. But we've got a replay coming from that last fight, and let's just have a look at how decisive Gamtee are here.
Yeah, so Looper is trying to push out the minion wave in the base at the moment, and it's just not working. So if we roll the tape, by the time that the Baron is taken, there is no one near, and LoveCD feels he has to get a warp. He gets picked off by Letme, who at this point, the double assassin comp is just fully running. And in the mid lane, Looper teleports, but just gets taken down so low from the massive waves of creeps that he's not able to impact the fight, and that's why he's just not the right member to do it. Dade gets absolutely deleted off the map. Rua is the last one standing, but overall, that's just a very clean, coordinated team fight, and Rumble teleported in with half health. He had no business fighting that.
No, he didn't. He did get an equalizer down in a decent position, but with so much mobility on the side of Gamtee, then they can just rift walk out of it. Playful tricks to Urchin Strike. Use all of these abilities to get themselves to safety, and it doesn't really do as much as it would like. And as soon as SyncDream gets his combo down, he can just die. Like, he doesn't care about what happens after that point. If he gets a stun in a fight, then this Annie's been effective.
Yeah, not to mention that he had Warmog's armor, so he wasn't dying very quickly. But overall, really well played game 2 by Gamtee.
Yeah, just ridiculous. Fantastic to see Gamtee getting themselves on the board yet again, but we are not done here. We've still got 3 matches left for the LPL here on day 3 in week 3, guys. Don't go anywhere.